I started this company when I was 21, and it was treating it like it was my baby. To hear the words, Rob, you need to get out of there for your own health. You're better than this. At that moment, I was like, what does Gary know?
That to me was the toughest part of that convo, because I'm like, he's probably not gonna believe me because he's gonna think I'm trying to force him out.
What do you do when you're putting your heart and your soul into building something and it's failing?
I would have been in a miserable existence for years, potentially, wasting my 20s.
Knowing how to handle a loss when everybody's watching.
That guy who got canned by Gary Vee is actually a friend of mine. His name's Rob Sandie, and today he's a successful entrepreneur and a creator and owns VidIQ. And I'm here in San Francisco now, just flew in. Don't spend the day with him and hear more about his story. I know I have been told before as well that Tim, you're not good enough, or Tim, you should get a real job. And things are just like frustrating. And I think it's part of the process of becoming a successful creator, actually. And so we're gonna dive into that with him here today. Hey man.
Welcome to California,
Thank you, good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Likewise.
Yeah, come aboard. Let's load up. It's good to see you again.
Yeah.
It's been a little while. I was thinking on the plane on the way over, like, I got started in online video in 2006, but I'm pretty sure you were before me, right?
Around 2004 or 5, right out of college, 21 years old.
How did you get started?
Was just watching my sister one day watch Blue's Clues episodes. Remember Blue's Clues?
I didn't watch it, but I know what it is.
Okay. Blue's Clues would say, where's the clue, where's the clue? My sister was saying, there's the clue, there's the clue. I was like, that could be completely built online, and that should be available for children.
Like, so you could interact with the video in some way?
Yeah, pause the video, click the button, can carry on. So I went and built that. I had a computer science degree. I built that right in my senior year of college. Presented it to all my classmates and colleagues.
This is like the world's first video player online.
Yeah, we called it Interactive Tube. It was registered before YouTube. We were showing people this, and people were just like, this is great. Oh my God, great idea. You can totally get a job because of this. Go down to that job fair and show them what you're working on. There really wasn't a concept of starting a service, of launching something. That was pretty foreign. No one really believed that this could be a 21-year-old could start a company and build technology based on this.
I can imagine that was pretty discouraging. How did that make you feel?
It struck a nerve. I'm a competitive individual. I was going to prove all of these people wrong, no matter how hard I had to work. I was going to make this thing happen. So we started this business called Viddler.com. We didn't want to use Interactive Tube because clearly YouTube was growing massively at this point, and we were still growing, but not as fast. We had to pivot to make money and pay for the server bills. I also raised a bunch of financing from angel investors, giving away a lot of control, and it turned into like 2010 timeframe, and no one was stoked on continuing to serve creators. And that's where I was taking the company. And they said, no, Rob, you can't service creators. You can't become the platform that you want it to be that's friendly with YouTube. We're going to be all business. We're going to do sales training. And they kicked me off the board. Kicked me off the company.
Off the company you started?
Yep. That I coded the original versions of, that I poured blood, sweat, tears into, that I created videos for. Literally slept under the desk most nights, like for years, and was paid little to nothing. It was heartbreaking. And Gary Vaynerchuk was a board member, and I got a call from Gary when this was all going down. He's like, Rob, you need to get out of here because this is toxic for you. You are better than this.
Yeah.
When you're that close to something, for someone to tell you, I know what is better for you than what you know for yourself, is the last sort of advice you want to be getting. Just took 3 months, and I called him and I was like, dude, thank you. Thank you for setting me free. I was extremely grateful. And came to San Francisco. That's where, we're right here. This is where VidIQ was born.
Awesome.
So here it is. This is where it all started.
This is where VidIQ got started.
There was 3 of us that moved from Pennsylvania to here. Turned it into our little hacker's den. Todd, James, and I, we moved here. And, we only had a couple months of rent paid, like 3 months of rent paid. And we knew if we were going to survive in this town, which is a very expensive place to live, we had to make it in these 3 months. So we were cracking day in, day out, on the weekends, no room for any sort of like sightseeing. And it's 2 weeks demo day. Basically the event that decides whether or not we can still live here, still live in San Francisco, still build our company. And I get ruthlessly sick. By the way, we didn't even take a break from Viddler to VidIQ. We just kept on grinding. And my whole immune system just shuts down. I have the worst case of pneumonia. I have no health care to cover this. And I do find a way to get in to see a specialist for just some penicillin. I ended up getting a rash. I couldn't even swallow through my throat. So just the worst of sickness and no health care and all that pressure. And which included, like, by the way, we accrued now like hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt.
So you really needed these investors to come through, or that was the end of VidIQ?
Yeah, it was going to be over unless this pitch, which was 2 weeks away, was going to go well. And it was a day before, and I forced myself out of bed. I get to rehearsals, and I'm dripping with sweat. So I thought the next day, I was going to just bomb this. And in fact, my co-founders were looking at me like, it was a good run, guys. Like, consolation prizes all around. No, don't worry about it. Basically, I'd conceded at this point that this was just going to be a formality of us doing this before we go home.
For a lot of startups, demo day is do or die. It is their one chance to demonstrate their product to potential investors. It is where their business either gets the cash it needs to keep growing, or the business stops here. Rob loses hundreds of thousands of dollars, but perhaps more importantly, it's where his dream to serve creators will also die.
This is it. Yeah, so here we are.
This is it. This is the room, huh?
All came down to this. Man, I was like extremely nervous, but I got up on stage. I did it. I got up and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna get this done with. And once I get this done with, I'm gonna be able to move on to whatever next part of my life is. I remember getting up there, looking over this crowd, getting halfway through the presentation, and just, there is no excitement in anyone's eyes. I was like, this is going terribly. I've completely bombed this. At the end of this presentation, it was just like a very nice, yeah, good job. Like a very nice applause, not an excited applause. I get down off the stage, kind of resigned to the fact that we're just glad I'm done with this. 3, 4, 5 investors come up sharing that they want to lead this round. They want to put $100,000 to $200,000 in between a couple guys. It really blew us away. We were completely caught off guard. That few $100,000 turned into a couple million from the people that saw them coming in and also joined the round. Wow. And it gave us the pedestal to continue to build a team, to build technology, to go after creating software that was built for content creators on YouTube. And today, we're at over 700,000 active weekly users with the #1 Chrome extension. It's the #1 tool on top of YouTube to help creators. And now it's like completely fulfilling the dream and the vision that we had. That passion that was once said that should not exist, has no place, is now found a home and now found a place to really flourish. We work with hundreds of thousands of YouTube creators all over the world. We hear a common story, one that's desiring more views, investing a ton of time and energy, demonetizations, delistings, copyright violations, their parents telling them that what are they doing? They need to get a real job. I just put a week's worth of work in. I bought the nice camera. I got all the right tags. I did all this work and I only got 10 views. I didn't get any subscribers. Why not? Why is this not easier? Why? And this path towards success, it is not paved with sprinkles and gold. This is a very difficult path, one of great adversity. Not just 1 week's worth of work, but months and months and months of improving and getting better and creating higher quality content. It is paved with pain that honestly I have a great deal of empathy towards. The journey of VidIQ took over 10 years to even get to the point where we could start this company. This process is hard, but to find success, you gotta stay laser focused on the path to get there, especially when it hurts.
Not a lot of people know this, but back in 2013, my real job at a video agency ended, and I wanted to launch out on video creators full time, but it wasn't quite at a full-time level for me and my family. That night, I had a conversation on the phone with a guy I'd never heard of before. His name was Rob Sandie from some company called VidIQ. And what the investors did for Rob in saving his business is what Rob ended up doing for me. Some of that seed money that he raised ended up hiring me to do contract work for him, and that gave video creators the runway it needed to become what it is today. So don't give up. Rob's persistence, his focus means that today he is serving hundreds of thousands of YouTube creators, and you can do the same thing. You will have the same impact through your content and your channel if you persist and don't give up. Stay laser focused on the goal, even through the pain. For those of you guys who are supporting members of this channel, Rob and I sat down and talked about some practical ways and ideas of how you can push through your pain and pursue your mission and find success. You'll find a link to that in the description below this video. And if you're not a member, click the join button down there and find out more about what that entails. Also, click the playlist you see on your screen here to go back to episode number 1 of Creator Stories and watch a whole bunch of other stories that are gonna help you stay motivated and inspired to keep creating, reaching people, and changing their lives.